Hi everyone, this is Asma Khalid from CyberPanel, and in today's video we will be talking about how to detect and remove malware software from your WordPress site. Now if you own a WordPress site, you must ensure that it is super well protected. It has all the security that it needs, since cyber criminals will find it very easy to attack a very vulnerable site. Now they have the ability to harm your site in a lot of ways, and the most common of which is by using a malware. Now a malware is actually a software that exploits a website security flaws, and what it does is actually conduct some unwanted operations on your site. Now there are a number of um, a number of types of malware right now. Number one is adware, which displays unwanted ads. Number two is spyware, which actually collects data and you don't even get to know whether or not it's getting data or not. Number three, it's trojan, that it masquerades as a legitimate software, but actually in the backend it's actually harming your overall site. Number four is a virus. Now this simply corrupts all the files or some specific files in your site. And the last one is the ransomware. It encrypts a website until a certain amount of payment is paid. So it's kind of like a kidnapping of your site. So all of these are the types of malware that are very commonly found within the cyber criminal community. So in this video we will be talking about how you can detect malware and also how you can remove them in a number of ways. So without further ado, let's just jump straight to the video. Okay, so first of all, we need to detect in which file or folder we have the malicious code. Now to do that is to either list the files by modification date, and you will see all the modifications that have been done, and the most recent one in which you think that there might be some malicious code that you have not done the modification. You can simply go through those files or folders and correct them. And number two is to scan the site using an antivirus. So first of all, let's check out how we can list the files by using by modification date. Now you can use this command, the command that I'm about to show you, to find the most recently modified files. So this is the command. I'm just going to copy this, and instantaneously you will be able to see all of the files. Now of course this is really difficult, and the drawback of this basically technique is that you need to go through all of these files. Now there's a simpler way, and that is by writing -5 you will be able to see all the files that have been made changes within the last 5 days. Okay, so we need to let me just find HTML -m time. Now this will show me all the modifications done within the last 5 days. So these are the modifications. Again, these are a lot of files and you need to go through them one by one. Now a better way is also that you can also use the grep command to find the references of the base64 coding, which is basically most commonly used by hackers. Now for that, let's copy this command, paste it here, and these will again show you all the files with that ends with .php, and then you have to go through them each and every one. Now this is according to the modification dates. You have to go through them each by one and find which of the files have that malicious code. Of course this is a much lengthier process but a more thorough process. Now the second way is by using scanner, antivirus scanner. So we all simply download, simply install and activate Wordfence from here. Go into scan, scroll down and start a new scan. Now once you start the scan, you'll be able to see all the files that have been modified in an ascending order. So this will take a couple of seconds, since Wordfence will make sure to have a really thorough scan through all of the files and directories of your WordPress site. So you can actually see the progress that is being done. So you would know that, okay, it's still working in the background, it's still making all the scans over here. So once it is scanned, you'll be able to see all the results over here. So it will take some time, so let me just quickly move on from this. I think it's done actually. Yeah, it's done. So right now there are no issues with my site. Obviously it's a test site, it's a brand new site, there will not be, but if there were any malformations present in my site, they will be listed down over here according to their modification date, and you can go through them one by one and detect or repair that malformation. Okay, so in the next part of the video we'll be learning about how you can correct these malformations. But before you correct these malformations, it is highly advised to back up your site. So we will first of all see how you can back up your site, and then in how many ways or in how many methods we can actually correct the malformations present in our WordPress site. So let's check those out. Okay, so first of all, we need to back up our site. Now to back up our site, we need to have two things backed up. Number one, our WordPress site, and number two, our database. That way our whole website will be saved, it will be backed up. So it's good practice to regularly back up your files. It's good practice to regularly check it over and over again, so that if by any chance your site does get infected, you already have an non-affected site or backup ready to be restored. Secondly, you need to back up your site right before you start scanning your site for malware, or you start restoring your sites to detect and delete malware, so that if by chance you delete some important documentation, some important files and folders, you already have a backup of it. So how can you back up your site? First of all, come into your cYberPanel dashboard. From here, click on websites. You can also select from here. I'm going to select from here and click on list websites. So once that opens up, this is the screen that you'll be able to see. Simply go into the file manager of your required site. This is it. So once it's opened up, click on public_HTML. So already I already have a zipped folder. Let me delete that quickly. Okay, so these are all of the WordPress site files that I need to have backed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all, click on compress. I'm going to name it com, and compression type, you can either have zip or you can have tar.gz. I'm going to click on zip and click on compress. Okay, so once it is compressed, simply scroll down and you'll be able to see your compressed file over here. Right click on it and click on download. Now this zip folder that is being downloaded, this is the backup of your WordPress site. Now we need to back up our database. What we're going to do is, first of all, go into wp-config.php, right click on it, click on edit with CodeMirror. From here you can see the name of the database. Once you have that noted, simply go back into your cYberPanel dashboard. From here, scroll down, go into databases and click on PHP My Admin. You can already see that your zipped file is being downloaded down here. That is the backup of your WordPress site. Okay, so your PHP My Admin has opened up. Now we already know the name of our database. Simply search that from the left hand side menu. Once you locate it, click on it and click on export. Simply enter your format. I want SQL. You can have it in CSV. You can have it CSV from MS Excel, or in any format that you want. I want it in SQL, and click on go. So your backup WordPress site is being downloaded, and also your database is being downloaded. Now these two things are the backup of your WordPress site. Now we're going to see how we can restore the original WordPress default files to check out and compare the malicious code of our malware infected site. So what we're going to do is come back into your file manager. From here, click on select all. Once it is selected, deselect WP content and wp-config.php and simply click on delete. Okay, so once we have deleted all of the files except for WP content and wp-config.php, we can upload the default WordPress files, and then we can compare the WP config of our current site and the WP sample from our WordPress default. So how can we upload that? It's super simple. Simply click on upload, open up your folder and drag and drop your your WordPress zip folder and click on upload. Now this is going to take a couple of minutes. Don't worry about it, totally normal. So once this file is opened up, we'll extract the content of the zip folder within this file. Of course, you can also open up the zip file and then upload all the files individually into it. That's totally up to you. So once it is uploaded, the status is ticked. Close this and you'll see your WordPress file over here. Select it and click on extract. Extract it. Now what we're going to do is we are going to copy all of the content from here into our public underscore HTML. So select all, deselect WP content. You will not find WP config over here, and simply copy it. We need it, enter the correct path. We don't need it in WordPress, we need it in the public HTML. Okay, so now once you go back, you'll be able to see all of the default WordPress files present within the public HTML file. So now how can we detect and basically correct the malicious code one by one? What you have to do is simply open up WP config sample. Now this is from the default the WordPress default file, and WP config, this is the original WP config. So you'll see code over here and code over here, except for the fact that the database name is different. Everything should be same. Now what you can do is you can compare these two screens and go through the code one by one. As you go down, you will be able to see whether or if not there is any malicious code in it, or whether or not if there is any kind of code that can harm your site, or any code that you have not written yourself and somebody else has. That means it's hacked. You can change that. You can correct it, and make sure that before you start correcting anything, you take a backup of it nevertheless. Okay, so we have seen how we can back up our data and how we can go through the code one by one, line by line, and detect and delete the malicious code. Now, what if you do have the access of the WordPress site? So how can we detect, and then how can we simply correct that malformation. So to do that, go into your WordPress dashboard. From here, go into plugins, click on add new. Search for Wordfence. Now for WordPress, click on install now. Once it is installed, click on activate. Okay, so once it is activated, you will see a WordPress tab over here. Simply go into, first of all options. Now within that all options, scroll down, and in basic scan options, by default it will be on limited scan. What you can do is you can turn it on to high sensitivity. Now this will, you can do this when you think that your site might have been hacked. So it's it may produce a false positive, but it will actually be more thorough. So it's better to have that. Once you select it, click on save changes. Once you save changes, go into Wordfence and click on scan. From scan, scroll down and click on start new scan. You remember when we started from all options? Within that all options, you can also customize all of the tests that you're trying to do according to your needs, according to your file. You can do it file by file, you can do it folder by folder, whatever. And once you do that, simply come into scan and click on scan. So the scanning process has started. Now this might be a little slow since it will be more thorough. Okay, so once it is done, you'll be able to see all the modifications that have been done, their name, what kind of impact they have. You can repair them, you can ignore them, but however you want. Once you're happy with that, you can go through them one by one again, and then simply scan the whole site again, make a couple of scans, and it will detect and repair all of the malformations. And this is how you can actually repair any malicious code that might have been entered by someone or by a malware. Okay, so sometimes you might have some maleficent code within your plugins, your downloaded plugins, if you have downloaded your plugins from unreliable sources. So how can you detect which plugin might have them? Now, this is a dummy site, so it only has 3 or 4 plugins, but your site, your fully functioning site, might have 20s or 30s of plugins in them. So how can you detect which one of them has that maleficent code? So what you can do is go into plugins, select all of it, go into bulk actions and click on deactivate. Once they are deactivated, activate them one by one, and after each activations, go into Wordfence and scan your site, so that whenever you activate the plugin which has that malicious code, automatically Wordfence will detect it and it will show it to you after that scan. So that's how. Of course, this might be a little lengthy, this might take some elbow grease, but by doing so, we can exactly pinpoint at which point you have that malicious code in it. So in the same way, your theme also might have that malicious code if you have downloaded it from somewhere. So simply go into appearance. In appearance, right now I'm using default theme, but you might have downloaded some other theme, for example, WP Ocean, from some unreliable sources, which might have that code in it. So what you can do is simply deactivate your code, run a scan. Activate your code, run a scan. If after deactivation, if after activation your Wordfence shows you that okay, there might be some problem with it, all you have to do is simply switch out that theme with some other theme. Next is you need to change your passwords. You need to change the passwords of all the user and admins. You have to change the passwords of your hosting panels access. You need to change the password Even if you don't use the FTP, you need to change the passwords. And finally, you need to change the database's users password. Now that is the most important one. How you can do it? For example, in our WP config sample, we saw that we have the database name, we have the username, and we have the password. Now this password has to be changed. Simply go into CyberPanel. For example, just simply go into CyberPanel. From your CyberPanel's dashboard, you need to go into database and click on list databases. Once you open list databases, from here you need to select your domain, the domain in which you're working. Now all of the passwords will be shown here. For example, this was my database. I will change the password over here. Now once you change the password over here, make sure that the password is same as that of wp-config.php, and otherwise it will show you an error when you start working on it. Next is you should remove your default admin account. Since most of us, we had admin as our username, so you need to change that. How you can do that is simply go into users. From users, click on add new. From add new, add a user over here. For example, I'm writing admin123. You might need an email over here. Enter your first name, last name, website. If you want it or you're not, it's not compulsory. Write a password over here, change password, and this is important. In role, enter administrator. Once you do that, click on add new user. Once you do that, simply log in using these credentials, these new credentials, and delete the previous admin. It's super simple to delete it, and that's how you can lock out any hacker that might have hacked into your account. Next is that WordPress has unlimited number of logins. Like you can have as many tries as you want, so any hacker will go and do some brute force over here and simply try to log into your account again and again until it gets the password right. So what you can do is you can limit that login. You can limit the number of tries actually. So how you can do it is using a plugin. So go into plugins, click on add new. From here, search for login lockdown. Once you do that, this is the one, click on install now. Activate it. Once it is activated, go into settings and you will be able to see login lockdown tab over here. Click on that. And this is where you can have different options to basically limit your login. So maximum login price 3, retry time period restriction 5. For example, it needs amount of time that determines the rate at which failed login attempts are allowed before a lockdown occurs. And you can have as many changes as you want. Lockout, invalid username. For example, if somebody is using admin and I have changed it to admin123, log them out instantly. And once you do that, click on update settings and it will be done. So that is how you can prevent hackers from using brute force to enter your WordPress site. Next is you need to install some security plugins. Now WordPress security, despite being pretty good, it's not perfect. Okay, so you have discovered that there might have been some plugins, there might be some themes that have those issues. Some hacker can use brute force even to enter your site, so you need to install some security plugins. So simply search for using Google and the ones that work with you and the ones that work with your site. Just simply download them, upload your plugin and activate it. Next is that you need to change your hosting provider. Now, once you have done everything that I have just mentioned and it's still not working, you still not cannot find that option, just simply contact your hosting provider and ask them for a change about it. If they cannot do anything about it, that means that the problem relies, it really lies with your hosting provider. So you need to change your hosting provider. Once you do that, you'll be able to see that the new hosting provider will be able to help you out in this regard. So this is how you can very simply, with little steps, with little changes, you can help prevent your site be attacked by any code or any person. So I hope this video was very informative for you guys. If you still have any questions, just drop a comment in the comment section and don't forget to like and subscribe Cyberpanel.